गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in Panchadashi, chapter 5, verse number 7. These are the last two verses, again taking up the one of the famous Mahamantras, the statement of truth called I am Atma Brahma, this is Brahman. We have seen as up to now the first verse was Prajnanam Brahma, which was consciousness is Brahman, and then the next statement was, once it was shown to you, shown to us, that consciousness is Brahman, consciousness is general, and that consciousness is general as well as personal. You are that, and that itself is Brahman. Then it was told, the second verse was Tattvamasi, you are that. That consciousness that you have discovered yourself to be, you are that reality. And when the student is given this instruction by the teacher, all of them are instructions only, but second one, when he is given Tattvamasi, you are that Brahman, then the student on the seat of meditation or in his conviction comes to realize Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. And once he becomes convinced, still I am Brahman, it's still a thought, till it becomes into a direct experience. When it becomes a direct experience, I am Atma Brahma, this Atman is Brahman, meaning that the student has recognized I am Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi. He has come to recognize that he is the Atma. These are all various stages. It can be put in other ways also. This is one way. That when he realizes, because all he can come to is the conscious principle that he is. He cannot go to Brahman and say anything. He can come to the conscious principle, be the witness. And then the journey from the witness to the all-pervading aspect of the witness, that is the grace, and that is what he realizes, that this Atman is Brahman. I am is this, Atma means the self, and Brahman is the totality or the reality. And now in these two verses, we are going to look at this statement of truth, I am Atma Brahma. The problem with the student is the sense of otherness. We are on verse 7. Is the sense of otherness. Even though he has understood consciousness is Brahman, he is intellectually convinced. The teacher says, you are that. He is convinced of that also. And with that conviction, he comes to say, I am that. Aham Brahmasmi. But in these three steps, his experience is that of indirect experience, not direct experience. It's only a conviction. He has got no doubt about it. But it needs to be converted into a direct experience. Till he searches for the truth outside of himself, till he searches the truth inside himself, he will never reach the truth. Because he is the truth. Understand? So as long as his attention is waiting for an experience, as long as his attention is on something should happen, something should drop away, and such ideas, till then the sense of otherness will continue to persist him, and that sense of otherness does not go away by our efforts. It goes away by grace. So the right thoughts, the right understanding, which leads to no conclusion, is important. And otherwise, we may be on the superficial stage, yeah, I understand, Swamiji, no conclusion. But deep inside, the hook is still there. Oh, that, oh, let this happen or let that happen. Today only someone phoned. They said, Swamiji, I said, yes. I had told him to do something, some reading of certain text, because he's saying, I'm not getting job, my mind is disturbed, this, that, blah, blah. I said, okay. I said, do this. Today he called, Swamiji, I did not do what you told me, because that was, how many? That was a long one. So I took a essence of Satya Sai Charitra, not Sai Charitra, the Shirdi Sai Charitra. And I took the essence of that, and every day I am able to read that. I said, good. Is your mind calm? Yes. No, I thought you will feel bad. I said, why will I feel bad? My job is to keep people busy. If you come, I'll put you, if not busy in that sense. My purpose is, if you're coming, you're saying your mind is not settled, then something has to be done so that you get distracted from that disturbed mind. Or invoke, and the only way that mind is going to become calm is when it becomes, come and catches the feet of a teacher or a guru or the Lord. And if you have not done what I told you and you have taken some other text, how does it matter? Is your mind calm or not? Yes. Swamiji, since I started that, I got a job also, a part-time job. I said, now you're going in the wrong direction. Now you're going in the wrong direction. If you are taking the name of the Lord, if you are doing the chanting for job, you can do it, no doubt. But then you will have anger against the same God if He doesn't deliver. You will become a non-believer. So you take the name of the Lord only for the sake of the Lord, not to achieve something in this world. Now, how much that person implements or understands or whatever, it's up to him. We have to tell what has to be told, Similarly here, when we talk about Tattvamasi, when we talk about Prajnanam Brahma, consciousness is Brahman, you are that, I am that Brahman, we can explain, we can talk, but are you concentrating on the words or are you concentrating on that which the words are indicating? That's up to you. I cannot make that happen for you. So in this way, our goal on a daily basis, on a moment-to-moment living basis, our attention should be on the life force. What is this consciousness which is making me talk, making me see, moving my hand, making me hungry, making me sleepy, making me yawn, making me contemplate, making me meditate, making me strive to succeed in life, wanting me to realize what is this life force behind my thoughts, behind my senses, behind my body. And for that you don't have to do anything, just be aware of this life force 24 hours a day, and whatever is meant to happen will start happening, or whatever is not meant to happen will not happening. If you will automatically start to abide in yourself in spite of all activity. in spite of all the duties that you are to carry out. स्वप्रकाशापरोक्षत्वम् स्वप्रकाशापरोक्षत्वम् अयमित्युक्तितो मतम् अयमित्युक्तितो मतम् अहङ्कारादिदेहान्तात् अहङ्कारादिदेहान्तात् प्रत्यगात्मेति गीयते प्रत्यगात्मेति गीयते. The word ayam in the Mahavakya ayam Atma Brahman is said to mean self-effulgent and immediate self, while the word Atma is used to declare that self to be nearer than everything, starting from ego up to gross body. Again, just like Prajnanam Brahma, there were two words. Tattvamasi, there were three words. Tat, Tvam and Asi. Then Aham Brahmasmi, again, how many words? Three words. Aham Brahma Asmi. And now again Ayam Atma Brahma. This Atma is Brahman. Again three words are there. So what is this Ayam? What is this Ayam? Here it says that as I said, having first heard, here Swamiji is saying, having first heard the definition of the truth, consciousness is the Brahman. That was the definition. Then, once you have understood consciousness is Brahman, depends where your attention on consciousness is. Is it on other people? Is it beyond the space? Or is it inside of you? So once this is clear that consciousness is Brahman, then the teacher says that you are. So that was what told. Tattvamasi, having heard this Upadesha, the student does Mananam and Nididhyasanam and comes to realize the truth. So, having got the instruction from the teacher that this consciousness, you are that consciousness. First it was told consciousness is Brahman, then he is told you are that consciousness. See how the connection is? And when the teacher thinks about it, contemplates about it, I am that consciousness, really? How am I consciousness? And he starts doing different sadhanas, different practices, different contemplations, or sits with one contemplation like Ramana Maharishi, and eventually it clicks. And what does it click? That I am Brahman. He has got, it becomes very crystal clear to him. So and when it clicks, this Aham Brahmasmi is not something I am Brahman. You go around and declare to the world, hey, I am realized, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. Nobody does that. Till today, no realized master has done that. Then, where do you realize that you are the reality? Where do you realize it? Where do you realize that you are the reality? Where is the Aham Brahmasmi experience? I am the reality, I am the absolute reality. Where is this experience, if we can call it an experience? Within yourself. And after that, there is no doubt left. There is no doubt left about anything. Then such a student, if he says, I am Brahman, O teacher, then it will be a statement of arrogance. Isn't it? Because realization of truth means the I has vanished. Isn't it? Then where's the I? Then how do you communicate it then? Then how do you communicate it? Then he goes to the teacher and says, "Oh teacher, this Atma is Brahman." Which Atma? He's talking about it in the third person. But at the same time, having a direct experience of it within himself. What is this? That is going to be told now. What is it? Swaprakasha parokshatvam ayam ityukto matam. Swaprakasha. So here he says, Swaprakash. This word ayam refers to that which is Swaprakasha and aparokshatva. Swaprakash means self-effulgent. Aparokshat, aparokshata, paroksh means that which is other. Indirect experience is called parokshatvam. Aparokshatvam, direct experience. So, what is this Atma? This Atma is Swaprakash. It is self-effulgent. Effulgence is another meaning, self-knowing. There is no outside means of knowledge required for it to know itself. Do you need someone to tell you, hey, you are? You don't need to say. You don't need to say you are Louis or you are uncle or you are Radha. You know you are. And even if Radha was not a name given to you, you are a no name. Still you will know yourself. No one needs to say, hey, you are alive. You know I am. No one needs to show it to you. This is Swaprakash. So all of you at this very moment are self-effulgent, self-knowing. See? And how do you know yourself? Do you know yourself through thoughts? Do you know yourself through senses? Do you know yourself through body? Or do you know yourself as yourself at this very moment? That's for you to analyze. If you think, yes, I am 5.5 feet tall, 80 kilos weight, then you have to go further. See? No, I am the breathing. No, you have to still go further. No, I am the feeling person. You still have to go further. Oh, I am the thinking person. Still have to go further. Do you need to think to know you are? Or you are in spite of thinking? That is the question. So here, when the words are used, Swaprakasha means self-knowing, self-effulgent. No outside source is required for the self to know itself. See? And the second is aparokshatvam. Aparokshatvam is directly, not indirectly. How do you know indirectly? Indirectly is known. Scriptures are telling us and we have become convinced. This is indirect knowledge. Another way of indirect knowledge is teacher has told us and we believe what teacher has said. It is indirect knowledge. Is it my experience? Someone says that this person is so and so, so and so, so and so. You say, really? But is it your experience? Like one child was saying, Swamiji, my grandfather has never scolded me in my life. And his other cousins were also sitting there. They say, but our grandfather has always scolded us and, corrected us. Now, all our grandchildren, one is saying he's the eldest. He says that my grandfather has never, because that is not his experience. He's never even scolded him. But the all other younger ones, they've got left, right. So their experience is totally different. No, 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 our grandfather is partial, our grandfather is like this, our grandfather is like that, he loves only them and he doesn't love us and this, that. Whatever may they say, that fellow who has not had that experience from the grandfather in that manner can never accept it. Because his direct experience is something else. But if he believes them and then starts judging, oh, I think grandfather is like that, he is a bad person, then it is parokshatvam, isn't it? Then what is, this is paroksha jnanam, and then there is pratyaksha jnanam. Pratyaksha jnanam is direct perception. Paroksha jnanam is indirect knowing. Pratyaksha jnanam is direct perception. Now perception happens only through the senses. When at this level, seeing is believing. See? At paroksha jnanam, believing is seeing. Seeing is believing is also not the truth. Believing is seeing is also not the truth, because both seeing is believing is even further away from the truth. Maybe a little bit closer is believing is seeing. Because you believe in God but you have not seen God yet. But some people believe it so much that they see God, isn't it? But when that believing is seeing converts into direct experience, then believing is seeing also becomes null and void, isn't it? I don't need to believe that I am the self. I don't need to believe that I know myself. I don't need to believe that I am self-knowing. I don't need to. I am. That's it. Isn't it? See? And the last is aparoksha jnanam, which is direct experience. And in this direct experience, there is no support taken of the world, of the body, of the breath, of the mind, of the thoughts, concepts, ideas, experience, nothing. It's just as it is. That is aparoksha jnana, which you are all experiencing it right now. You don't need to think to be. You are. So, where are you? Are you in the thoughts thinking, yes, I am? Or are you with yourself? In my presence, the thoughts are going, this is your disposition. You are not saying it to yourself, but that is your disposition. In my presence, the thoughts are coming and going. And in this way, swaprakasha swarupatvat, one's own conscious being, one's own essential self, aparokshatvam, one comes to know directly, without any interference of any medium. This whole explanation, swaprakasha aparokshatvam, is equal to I am. What is this? This is that which is self-knowing, this is that which is self-effulgent, this is that which is directly known, directly knowing itself, without any medium of knowledge. There is no that because of this I know this. Not like that. There is no cause and effect. There is no what do you call, karya karana bhav. We live life. Like I told you the example, I did the prayers, therefore I got the job. This is karya karan. Because I did it, therefore I got the job. What can you do in order to know yourself? Hmm? What can you do to know yourself? There's nothing to do, isn't it? You just are. Recognize this about yourself. Recognize this about yourself. You don't need to do anything. Where doing comes, cause and effect comes. Past and future come. We move away from the present moment. So, when we talk about direct experience, there is no interference of any medium, of concept, of thoughts, of feelings, of breath, of body, or any other thing in the world. It's independent, it's direct. The Shuddha Chaitanya or Paramatma is very much in our bosom. That I am, for that I am. No third entity is required to know that I am. Therefore, the two qualities of Swaprakasha and Aparokshatva put together leaves no doubt that I am refers to the closest thing to us. This is called Atma. So, what is this? When we say that, you don't say this is, no, this is always something closer. So that that microwave and this sofa, that sofa and this Radha, that Radha and this camera, that camera and this body, that body and this breath, that breath and this mind, that mind and this intellect, that intellect and this Atma. So it's relative. We use the word that for something which is far away, and we use the word this for something which is closer compared to that which is far away. So when we have come to that, we have come to this, I am Atma Brahma, I am, what is this that we are talking about? That which is closer than the closest to us. What is that which is closer than the closest to us? That which is self-effulgent and that which is not requiring any medium to know itself. And what is that? This student has come to realize on the seat of meditation or in his being that I am that. He has already come to know that. See? You understand the difference between this and that now? This is always with reference to something closer to something else. That is always further away. And in this way, this that is being referred to here, which is Swaprakasha, Aparokshatva. So it is self-knowing and it is your direct experience. It's directly experiencing itself. When some teacher is saying, when these two things come together, then you have come to understand what this Mahavakya, the statement of truth is saying, I am. What this word this is referring to the self in brackets Atma that you have recognized yourself to be. See? As long as the witness is looking at the parade of thoughts, it will never make this jump. That witness must recognize that in spite of thoughts I am, and my true being is that this witness must, you have to tell the mind it beforehand that this witness itself is the infinite that there is. See? And in this way, the second word in the Mahavakya is Atma. And what is this Atma? Is it with reference to the body? Is it with reference to the breath? Is it with reference to the self, with reference to the mind? Self with reference to the intellect? No. It is the consciousness that there is. Because for different people, it is relative. What is closest to them? For some, the money is very close, so they cannot think about the world without bringing the money aspect in it. Some people cannot think about themselves without being relations into it. Some people cannot think about themselves without talking about their children or their wife or their husband, because that's what defines them. But what defines you? Here the student is not taking any support of anything to define himself, isn't it? It is self-effulgent, swam prakasha, swaprakashat. So in this way, the correct meaning here taken of the Atma is ahankaradi dehantat pratyag atmeti giyate. Ahankaradi dehantat. Meaning what? That which is closer than the closest, which is finer than the finest, which is subtler than the subtlest within you. Which is subtler than the subtlest within you. What is subtler than the subtlest? This the student has already worked out. Subtler than the body is the breath, subtler than the breath is the mind, subtler than the mind is the intellect, subtler than intellect is that, Atma. So in this way, the student here, see, coming to Atma is the process of neti neti. I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, and you come to the conscious principle that you are. Once you have come to that, the next step is not I am not this, I am not this. Next step is I am all the bodies, I am all the breaths, I am all the minds, I am all the intellects. Nobody says that. You will be foolish if you say that way. Then how do you say it? Like our scriptures say, that Sahasrashirasha Purushaha. That they say, it is not my experience, but they say that this self that I have recognized myself to be, the Atma, which is unchanging principle, it is the one which is expressing behind all the hands, behind all the legs, behind all the hearts, behind all the minds, behind all the senses. And you try to work it out, you cannot work it out. How can you expand yourself to infinity? Very difficult, isn't it? And yet, you must make that attempt. That what does it require? Where am I going wrong? That if I am recognizing myself to be the conscious principle who is supporting this body, breath, mind, intellect equipment, then what does it mean that this conscious principle that I am is the only one which is supporting all the body, breath, minds and intellect? What does it mean? You have to keep that idea in your mind and allow it to reveal itself. You cannot work it out. You cannot work it out. How can you? No, I am here also, I am working here also. The moment you look there, you only see a form. The moment you look there, you only see a form. The moment you look at this camera, how can I be functioning through this inert thing? So many doubts come. But somewhere deep inside you know that self is one without a second. If scriptures are saying it, it must be the truth. Then where am I going wrong? Because you are still objectifying. That is where you are going wrong. So the last jump, after having recognized the self to the I am Atma Brahma, this Atma alone is Brahman. It happens. So here, after having rejected everything, that which cannot be rejected and therefore cannot be gained is being said to be Atma. So you can reject the body because it comes and goes, it is growing all the time. Breath you can reject because it comes and goes. Feelings you can reject because they come and go. Thoughts you can reject because it comes and goes. Who knows that all these things come and go? I. Do I come and go? Yeah, the waker comes and goes, the dreamer comes and goes, the deep sleeper comes and goes. But the one who's supporting these three, does he come and go? No. Can you be other than him? I don't know. Do you know you had a dream? Yes. Do you know you had a deep sleep? Yes. Do you know you are in the waking state right now? Yes. Then that one who is knowing all these three is the real one. It's straight here and right now you can, it clicks. So that which cannot be rejected is our essential nature, is our essential being, is that Atma, is that self-knowing principle. And you are having a direct experience of that all the time. You don't need a special a moment for that. Isn't it? All the time you are having it. It's just how you speak to yourself. In satsang it becomes easy to, you become as if you are there. If you repeat the same language to yourself in your own free time, you will also be with yourself all the time. And even if you don't, you still are. You see? So in this way, now the last part, which is Brahman, I am Atma Brahma. So we have defined, we have explained what is this, I am, what is I am? That which is this, that is self-knowing and having a direct experience of itself. And it is not known, it is not a knowledge through the senses, it is not a knowledge through the mind. It is in spite of all that. And this, I have recognized myself to be the Atma. This Atma. Which Atma? Which does not come and go, that which is self-knowing, that which does not require any other means to know, that which cannot be rejected, that in whose presence all other, the thoughts, the emotions, the breath and the body is able to function. That conscious principle that I am talking about. This conscious principle, not that, this conscious principle. This Atma, what is it? It is Brahman. Now that Brahma word is being addressed in the last verse of this text, of this chapter 5. Drishyamanasya sarvasya Drishyamanasya sarvasya Jagatastattvamiriyate Jagatastattvamiriyate Brahma shabdena tad Brahma Brahma shabdena tad Brahma Swaprakashatma rupakam Swaprakashatma rupakam. By the word Brahma, the substratum which is conscious existence of the appearance of the whole world is meant. That Brahman is of the nature of self-effulgent pure self. See, when you listen to these words, you may not realize the reason I make you chant, each word is like a missile, is having a vibration which you don't realize at this moment. You are thinking it's only a word. Some people, uh, when we were on the tour, my aunts were there, mum sisters. So, we'll call you by your old name. We know you by that name. I said, you wish. Then somewhere, suddenly a brainwave came and I told them, you know what Swami means? You know what Swami means? What does Swami mean? Tell me. I'm asking.
Teacher controlled himself.
Hmm?
Who can manage himself?
Who is Swami? In your Tamil language, so many people are called Swami, isn't it? So who is Swami really? Sanskrit, Swa Ami, I am. And what is the word afterwards? Paramananda. I am infinite bliss. So when you call me Swami, you are not calling me. You are calling, huh?
Myself.
You are calling yourself. So when you say Swami Satya Sai Baba, you say Swami to him.
Yes.
But Swami means I am. So when you say Swami, you are calling yourself. And you love yourself the most. So when you call, now with this understanding, when you call someone, some Swamiji as Swami, then see the impact behind that word. So when I explained this on the tour, then my aunts also started calling me Swami. Sometimes education is required. See? So you are not doing me any favor by calling, all names are ours, isn't it? We believe in that way. So you are doing yourself a favor by reminding yourself that whom you are calling as Swami is nothing but you alone. See? And with this understanding, if you start going around the world, interacting with everyone, what an impact on the mind. There will be no judgment, there will be no likes and dislike. How can you like yourself or dislike yourself? You never judge yourself, so why will you, you're calling someone a Swami and why will you judge that person? You love yourself the most, then, he's me only, okay. I only created him to teach me. See? And that is not far from truth. That is the truth. It's a leela going on. It cannot be worked out. The Lord, Ishavasya idam sarvam, the Lord himself became many, isn't it? And where is the Lord? Expressing as the self within. So that self, that Lord himself became many. So here when the word Brahma is being used, it is to indicate that everything that is understood by you as world. What is your world? Tell me. What is your world? I'm not talking about your personal world. Tell me the world. What is the world for you?
Me and my thoughts.
Me and my thoughts. What else? Which are the worlds that you experience on a daily basis? Dream world and waking world and deep sleep world, isn't it? These are the only three experiences you have on your daily basis. Is there any other world apart from this? oh, in the waking state where I go into a reverie and I imagine I am in the heavens. It's still a part of a dream only. Isn't it? So these are the three worlds. Isn't it? Here when it says Brahma, it means all worlds are nothing but that one reality alone. Right now, when we do, I am not the body, I am not the breath, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, what is there? What is the feeling? That this body, breath, mind, intellect are an impediment. Because they come and go, I have to reject them in order to be myself, so that I can catch myself. Isn't it? But now what is the next stage? That this obsession that I am not the body, I am not the breath, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, has to be dropped. And exactly the opposite has to be done, that I am all the bodies. That this self, this consciousness itself is. Because you cannot have consciousness and matter. You cannot have Ishwar and Prakriti. Prakriti came out of Ishwara alone. Without the support, the one became many. So because manyness is there does not mean that one is not. In spite of manyness, the oneness is ever maintained. In spite of the many waves, the water continues to be. In spite of the many ornaments, gold continues to be. In spite of the infinite names and forms, that one without a second principle continues to be. That is Brahman. It is inside, outside, anywhere you look. It is that only. Whether you touch the wave from inside or from outside, it is water alone, isn't it? Is there anything else other than water in a wave? See? But as long as a wave thinks it is a wave, it can never recognize that it is water. If it becomes a witness, oh, I have a beginning, this body has a beginning, this body has an end, I am not the wave, I am the water. It is still stuck. As long as it is thinking like that, death will come. There is every chance that it might slip back into identification, isn't it? So what is the sure shot way? That wave which has recognized that it is actually water, but which water? Only that water which is expressing through the wave, or that infinite waters? That's the question. If the ornament recognizes that it is the gold, is that the gold only within that teeny mini ring or necklace, or is it the gold as a principle which exists in this in totality? So when you have recognized, the seeker has recognized himself or herself as the Atma, is it the consciousness which is only pervading this form? Then you are like a gold ornament which has recognized gold only within that form. But gold is much more than, it is total. So that shift has to be brought about. And that is brought about only by grace. But mind must be totally soaked with the idea that there is nothing but that one reality. There is no iota of doubt in your mind that multiplicity can exist. Then that self, this self, which I recognized, which was self-effulgent, which was my direct experience, will be recognized without thought as the one and the only thing that is pervading in this whole creation. Then eyes will see the names and the forms, the ears will hear, the senses will do what they have to do, the mind will continue to do what it has to do, but the experience will be that of oneness. How is that? The closest thing that is coming to my mind is your eyes, senses, feel the body, touch the body, smell the body, listen to the sounds inside the body, isn't it? You see, it sees the form of the body, you think also, you feel also, but all these things that are happening within you, you don't take them to be separate to you, you take it as I, isn't it? Take it as I. You don't say, you use the word right arm, but the feeling inside is I only. It never even a doubt comes into your mind that this arm is not you. Isn't it? Never a doubt comes that this eye is not you. Never a doubt comes that this mind is not you. Now, this expansion comes about by this type of contemplation. When you on the seat of meditation go with this, come to this realization that this self alone is the one which is pervading the whole world, and that is what is the Brahma. The third word in the Mahavakya, Ayam Atma Brahma, is Brahma. Up to this point, one's effort can help. Beyond this point, efforts cannot help for the reason that the individuality disappears. Who will be there? Who will be there to contemplate? As long as individual is there, the individual into total expansion is not possible. Individual has to die. The wave has to give up its waveness. Only then it will recognize itself as water. Only then it can be water. Because it was always the water, it was imagining that it was a wave. Isn't it? Because of its identification with name and form, beginning and end. So if you have to go in that direction, then we have to give up the individuality. Individuality is nothing but having a relationship with something that has a beginning and end. Let that be body, let that be breath, let that be thoughts. Thoughts also have a beginning and end. As long as you are having a relationship with them, giving value to them, giving attention to them, that the moment this fellow starts thinking about this even once, this fellow, which is essentially independent, suddenly becomes individual. See? And in this way, disappearance of the individuality is the realization of Aham Brahmasmi or Ayam Atma Brahma Mahavakya. The word Brahma is used in different ways with different contexts. In this Mahavakya, it means that what has been defined in Drupdrishya Vivek as there are 5 things associated with everything in this world. We saw this in the Amrut Anubhav class also, that everything is Asti Bhati Priya Nama Roop. Everything is, I know everything is, that everything is dear to me, and that everything has a name and a form. Example, this is a camera, I know this is a camera, this camera is dear to me, this camera has a name called camera, and this has a form, isn't it? And like this, you can talk about the waking world, you can talk about the dream world, you can talk about every experience that you have, or this in this world, it is having this Asti Bhati Priya Nama Roop. Nama Roop keeps changing. Sometimes my attention goes to her, the name and form is different. Then it comes to camera, name and form is different. Then it goes to you, the name and form is different. But Asti Bhati Priya is the same. The isness in all the objects is the same. The knowingness in everything is the same. The joy or the anand, the sense of what do you call bliss that is experienced is the same. See? But names and forms keep changing. Take for example, a thought is, I know a thought appeared in my mind. This thought is mine, dear, Priya. This thought has a name called thought, and this thought has a form because it begins and ends, isn't it? How many thoughts come and go? Zillions. Asti bhati priya, isness, knowingness, and dearness. It is constant. That doesn't come and go. The name and form keeps coming and going. So recognize this about the world, that in and through the world, it is not that because of the world you are. No, it is not like that. It is not because of the world you are. The world is not other than you. First stage is that the world is because of you. But here when we are saying, I am Atma Brahma, the world is not other than you. You are pervading the whole world. Every name and form is pervaded by Asti Bhati Priya. I am, I know, this is, I know this is, and this is dear. See? And this way recognize that without your presence, this world cannot exist independently. It cannot. Which without you? Not the ego you, not the individual you, but it is the Atma that we are talking about. And in this way, the first three represent the reality and the last two, name and form, represent the world. Drishyamanasya sarvasya jagata tattvam, all that is perceived, known, experienced in this world, the essence that is supporting the totality of the names and forms, Brahma Shabdena Eryate, is referred to by the word Brahma. Tat Brahma Swaprakasha Atma Rupakam, that Brahma is self-illumined Atma Swarupam. The total reality is not other than the reality that you recognized yourself to be as self-knowing, self-effulgent, and it was your direct experience. Right? This way, come to the conclusion. And in this way, Drishyamanasya sarvasya, everything, sarvasya, everything, drishyamanasya, is seen, is known. Jagata tattvam, everything that is known is coming and going. See? You don't see the self, but you see the world. And if even on the seat of meditation you are seeing something, understand that is the world alone. Don't think that you have reached some very high state of meditation. It's nothing. It's just give it zero value. It is the world. That's it. Because our attention, we don't want our attention to go to the world as the world. We want our attention to go to the world as that I am the one who's supporting the world. I am the one who's pervading the world as Asti Bhati Priya. The isness, knowingness, and the dearness. And in this way, the journey of the individual to the totality or to the absolute is told to us by the teachers, by the scriptures, through these four Mahavakyas. So first one was consciousness is Brahman, Prajnanam Brahma. Once we come to understand consciousness as a principle, consciousness that is self-effulgent, We may not have recognized consciousness to be ourselves, but we know we are consciousness. Which consciousness we don't know. We are the ego consciousness or the individual consciousness or the total consciousness or the absolute consciousness. We just understand consciousness. Okay, life. That is of the nature of Brahman. Then the teacher says, you are that. Oh, what am I? Oh, you are that consciousness. You are that. Or you can take it as you who are recognized. Here how it was taken was you who has recognized himself as the consciousness. It is told you are the Brahman. Tat means the Atma. Tvam. No, sorry, Tvam is the Atma. Tat is the absolute. You are that. Asi is the link in between. Then when the student hears this from the teacher, he starts contemplating, and in that contemplation he comes to realize, yeah, I am that. Aham Brahmasmi. I, which I, not the individual I. He is using the word I here for the Atma. And what is I am that? What is that? That is the Brahman. So, Aham Brahmasmi. I am that. I, Aham, am. Asmi, that Brahma. So, Aham Brahmasmi. This is his realization. And when that realization has to be communicated to his teacher or to someone, he says, if at all, he says, this I am Atma Brahma, this Atma is Brahman. This Atma, this that I have recognized myself to be independent of all the conditioning, that Atma which is self-effulgent, self-knowing, it is the direct experience, it is always having the direct experience. This itself is of the nature of Brahman, and in this way the teacher or the student comes to abide in that reality, and in this way understand. How do we know that we have come to that point of abidance? When there is no judgment, there is no biasness, there is no sense of otherness, there is no desire, there is no sense of difference experienced by you when you are moving around. If even once all these words that I used, I'm not talking only about the world. That feeling is should no biasness, no judgment, no sense of otherness, no difference, even with respect to the body, the breath, the mind, the intellect. Then you are abiding. Otherwise you are not. See? So at that point it will not be just this body, it will be total bodies. It's a total transformation. And in this way, Vedanta is not for the faint-hearted, it is for the courageous one. And if we are not able to focus and concentrate and be in that self that we essentially are, take the support of the divine, take the support of the Lord, take the support of the teacher, whoever your Guru Maharaj is, and ask them to give you the clarity, give you the abidance. It is only by grace that it comes, and there is no harm in asking it from the Lord for that purpose. Don't ask the world. What is that by knowing which you can know everything? Ask for that from the Lord. Nachiketa asked that from the Lord of Death. He didn't say, give me the world and then I'll think about what is Atma. No. So if you have to make the prayer to the Lord, ask for that by knowing which, by realizing which, there is nothing else to be realized. Desire that, by having gained which, nothing else remains to be desired. And what is that? That is Brahmatmaikya Bodh. That is abidance in the absolute reality as I. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Just sit quietly for 5-10 minutes and then